we didn't have a care. The lawn needed cutting, but we left it alone. And we sat on the steps drinking something cold. And the afternoon just stretched and stretched and stretched, like it was giving us more time than we expected. And there was nothing to do, and we did it all day. And it was everything, it was completely fine that way. The day felt endless in the best possible way. Ooh. The day felt endless, and we let it stay. No, nobody was calling, and nothing was wrong. The day felt endless, and the day was long. The day felt endless, and I loved every minute of it. By 3 o'clock, we finally got around to moving down to the creek where the water's always cold. And we sat on the flat rocks in the afternoon sun and talked about things that didn't need a conclusion. You said something funny, and I forgot what it was. And we both laughed anyway because the day was good and the sky was the exact blue it gets in July. And I thought I wouldn't trade this for anything. And there was nowhere to go, and we stayed right there. And the summer was giving us more than our fair share. The day felt endless in the best possible way. Ooh. The day felt endless, and we let it stay. Oh, nobody was calling, and nothing was wrong. The day felt endless, and the day was long. The day felt endless, and I loved every minute of it. We made it back before the sun went down, and we sat on the steps again because the night was warm. And I didn't think about tomorrow or next week. I just thought, one more day, give me one more day like this. The day felt endless in the best possible way. Ooh. The day felt endless, and we let it stay. Oh, nobody was calling, and nothing was wrong. The day felt endless, and the day went long. The day felt endless. The day felt endless. The day felt endless, and I loved every minute of it.
We grabbed our bikes from the side of the house and headed out with nowhere particular in mind. Down past the school and around the big curve and out to the end of the street where the road goes wide. The afternoon was hot, but we didn't care. The whole neighborhood was out or trying to be, and we rang our bells at the Martins' front, walking Mrs. Martin waved from the porch. She always did. It didn't matter where we were going, it just felt good to be moving on a Saturday in July, with the sun in our eyes. Bikes down the street in the middle of the afternoon. Bikes down the street, there was nowhere to be too soon. Just the road ahead and the warm air, and nothing to do but keep going. Bikes down the street, and we didn't wanna go home. We found the shortcut behind the elementary school, the one that cuts through to Peterson Road. And we raced each other down the hill at the end, and you won. You always won, but you didn't say a thing. street get quiet, and I thought, tomorrow we should do this again. Bikes down the street in the middle of the afternoon. Bikes down the street, there was nowhere to be too soon. Just the road ahead and the warm air, and nothing better in the whole wide world. Bikes down the street, and we didn't wanna go home. We really didn't wanna go home.
There were a lot of people at Lisa's that night, and I wasn't planning to talk to anyone in particular. You were standing near the stereo with a drink, and
Someone said something, and you laughed before I did.
your laugh was the kind that was completely real.
Not the kind people do when they think someone's watching.
And I found myself trying to figure out what was funny,
So I could be part of whatever it was.
and I don't know if you noticed me noticing,
But I stood a little closer than I needed to.
and someone made another joke.
And this time we both laughed together.
You laughed first,
And I came in a second behind.
you laughed first.
Oh, and I didn't mind.
I just like being close enough to hear it,
And close enough to be there when you did.
you laughed first.
And something just clicked.
We talked for a while near the back of the room,
About things I can't completely remember now. Something about the summer, and something about a road trip. And you had a way of listening, like you were actually listening.
and the party got loud around us after a while.
But we just kept talking like it was fine.
And someone turned the music up,
But we didn't move,
we just talked louder.
and it felt like the most natural thing.
And I don't know if you felt what I was feeling,
But something in the way you kept on talking
made me think you might have had a reason.
to stay right where you are.
You laughed first,
And I came in a second behind.
you laughed first.
Oh, and I didn't mind. I just like being close enough to hear it, and close enough to be there when you did.
You laughed first.
Something just clicked. You asked for my number when you were leaving,
And I wrote it on the back of something,
from my pocket.
and you
Folded it up and put it in yours, and I drove home smiling for no particular reason. You laughed first, and I came in a second behind.
you laughed first.
And I didn't mind at all.
I just like being the one who was standing there,
Close enough to be the next one in. You laughed first, and something just clicked. And something just clicked. I put the radio on and opened up the window and sat on the bed with the curtain moving slow, and the afternoon was warm, and nothing was happening, which was exactly what I wanted. You should know, the announcer said something that I didn't catch, and then a song came on that I'd heard 100 times, and I hummed along because I knew most of the words, and the whole afternoon felt easy and just fine. There's nothing like a song on the radio that finds you on a day when you've got nothing you need, and the curtains moving in the afternoon breeze, and everything is right where it should be. Radio by the window on a warm July afternoon. Radio by the window, and the day was coming through, and I didn't need anything that I didn't already have right there. Radio by the window, and the music in the air. I thought about calling someone, but I didn't. I thought about going out, but I let it go. And the next song was one I liked even better, and I turned it up just a little to let it grow. By 5 o'clock the sun had moved around the corner, and the room was different light, but still the same good warm. And I lay there until it got too dim to see well, and thought this was a good one, a good long afternoon. There's nothing like a day when nothing happens, and the radio fills it up with something nice, and you don't have to be anywhere or see anyone, and the afternoon is everything, just like this. Radio by the window on a warm July afternoon. Radio by the window, and the day was coming through, and I didn't need anything that I didn't already have right there. Radio by the window, and the music in the air. I finally got up when someone called for dinner, and I turned the radio off, but slow, not fast. I wanted the last song to finish on its own terms before I gave the afternoon back. Radio by the window on a warm July afternoon. Radio by the window, and the day was coming through, and I didn't need a single thing that wasn't already right there. Radio by the window. Radio by the window, and the music in the air.
We said we'd be home by 10, but 10 came and went, and we were still out there, sitting on the hoods of cars in the parking lot, with the radio going and nobody with anywhere to be. Somebody had a bag of chips from the gas station, and we passed it around because it seemed like the thing to do. And the stars were actually out for once. You could see them, and someone pointed out the ones they knew. And the night was good, and we weren't he brought his little radio out from his car, and we had actual music for the last couple of hours.
And someone started dancing, which was funny, and then wasn't, because eventually everyone was moving a little.
And we talked about the summer and what we were gonna do, and
Most of it probably wasn't going to happen exactly,
but it sounded good out there in the
parking lot at midnight with the stars out and the radio on.
and the night was good and we weren't ready, so we stayed like we always do.
And nobody mentioned the time until it was already way past what our mothers thought we were going to. We stayed out too late,
And it was completely worth it.
we stayed out too late, and nobody felt sorry. The night was too good, and the company was right. We stayed out too late, and we do it again on any other night, just like that night. We finally left sometime around 1 and drove home slow with the windows down. And I remember thinking the summer was ours, and it was.
At least for that night, it was.
We stayed out too late,
And it was completely worth it.
we stayed out too late, and nobody regrets a thing. The night was too good, and the company was right. We stayed out too late, and we did it again. Every night that summer, again and again. We ended up at Kim's after the pool, and we sat in the backyard because the yard was shady. And Kim's mom brought out lemonade without being asked, and we didn't say much for a while because we didn't need to. The yard had that smell of cut grass in the late afternoon, and someone had the back door propped open, and we could hear the television inside from where we were. But nobody went in, and that was just fine. And the afternoon went wherever it wanted to go, and we followed along with no particular plan. Nobody had somewhere to be. Nobody was watching the time. Nobody was in a hurry, nowhere to be. Nobody was in a hurry, and everybody was free to just sit there and be easy in the shade on a warm afternoon. Nobody was in a hurry, and the afternoon was good. By 4 o'clock we moved the chairs around a little to follow the shade as it moved across the yard. And somebody's older brother drove up in his car and honked and drove away without stopping. And Kim laughed at something her mother said from the door, and we talked about the end of summer briefly. And then we stopped because nobody wanted to think about that. So we talked about something easier instead. And the afternoon went wherever it wanted to Nobody had somewhere to be at 4. Nobody had somewhere to be at 5. Nobody was in a hurry, nowhere to be. Nobody was in a hurry, and everybody was free to just sit there and be easy in the shade on a warm afternoon. Nobody was in a hurry, and the afternoon was good. I stayed until Kim's mom said it was dinner, and I got my stuff from the chair and said goodbye slowly. And I walked home the long way because the night was early and I had nowhere to be until tomorrow. Nobody was in a hurry, nowhere to be. Nobody was in a hurry, and everybody was free to just sit there and be easy in the shade on a warm afternoon. Nobody was in a hurry. Nobody was in a hurry, and the afternoon was good. You helped me with my bag when I dropped it on the stairs, and I said thank you, and you said it was nothing. And you walked ahead, and I watched you for a second, and I thought it wasn't nothing. Not exactly. And all afternoon I kept coming back to that, the way you said it was nothing, like you meant it. Or maybe like you didn't wanna make a thing of it, and I couldn't tell which one it was. And I walked home thinking about the nothing, and how some nothings don't feel like nothings do. And I got home and ate dinner like normal, and couldn't stop thinking about you. You said it was nothing, but I'm not completely sure. You said it was nothing, and I keep thinking about it more. It might have been nothing, you might be right. You said it was nothing, last night. On Friday you called, which I wasn't expecting, and we talked about the weekend for 20 minutes. And at the end you said we should hang out sometime, and I said sure, and I meant it, and so did you. You said it was nothing, and maybe that's where it started. You said it was nothing, and now I think about it every day. It wasn't nothing, I knew it from the start. You said it was nothing, and it turned into everything. And I'm so glad it did.
We were playing in the court at the end of the street, the kind of game that starts as one thing and becomes another. And nobody was keeping score by 7 o'clock. We were just out there because the night hadn't started yet. The Henderson's dog was barking at something in the alley, and Tommy's little sister kept wanting to be included. And the air was that warm, thick kind that only happens in July, when the day has been long and good. And we all knew what it meant when they came on. We've been waiting for them and not waiting at the same time, because once the street lights came on, it was real, and the night wasn't waiting for us anymore. Street lights came on, and we all looked up at the same time. Street lights came on, and nobody wanted to be the first to go. Just a few more minutes, that's all we needed. But the lights didn't care about any of that. Street lights came on, and the night said time to go home. We put the stuff away without being told, which was something we only did on good nights, when the day had been long enough and we were ready, even if we weren't ready in a way. And we said good night the way kids say good night, which is fast and not very meaningful and completely fine. And we went our separate ways to our separate houses, and the courts were quiet by the time I got to my door. And we all knew we'd be back the next evening, same time, same corner, same everything, because the summer had enough of those good nights in it that you didn't have to worry about running out. Street lights came on, and we all looked up at the same time. Street lights came on, and nobody wanted to be the first to go. Just a few more minutes, that's all we wanted. But the lights didn't wait for us to be ready. Street lights came on, and the night said time to go home. I stood in the dark for a minute, looking back at the empty street and the lit up court, and came on. And it really was a good day.
The last week of August came faster than it should have, and we were standing in Karen's yard after dark, and someone mentioned school, and we all went quiet for a second, the way you do when you hear the thing you've been ignoring. And the summer had been good, really genuinely good, and none of us wanted to be the one to say it was ending. So we just kept talking about other things instead, like the summer could hear us and might let us stay. And we thought if we didn't mention it, it might wait for us a little longer. But August doesn't take requests, and September doesn't either. We thought it would last. We thought it would last a little longer. We thought it would last because it felt like it should. And it was good, it was so good while it was here. We thought it would last, but August always goes the same way every year. On the last Friday, we went to the lake one more time, and we swam a little, but mostly we just sat on the dock and talked about the year and what we were going to do, like the plans would somehow keep the summer going. And the water was still warm from 3 months of sun, and the dartboards were hot against the backs of our legs. And someone said, "This is it, I think." And we all nodded because we already knew. And we thought if we just kept showing up, the summer might not notice it was done. But August doesn't take requests, and the lake can't keep the sun. We thought it would last. We thought it would last a little longer. We thought it would last because it felt like it should. And it was good, it was so good while it was here. We thought it would last, but August always goes the same way every year. We stayed until the lake was dark, and then we drove home with the windows down. And it felt like the kind of ending that was also a beginning, but not yet. For now it was just the ending. summer, and a summer is enough.
The first day back had that different kind of air, cooler, more certain, with somewhere to be. And I put on the shoes I hadn't worn since June, and they felt a little strange from not being used. The summer was already doing that thing where it fades from something recent into something you remember. And I walked down the street the same way I always do, but everything was the regular version of itself. And I thought about all the days that seemed like ordinary days while I was in them, and how I know now they were the good ones, the ones that don't announce themselves. Summer didn't say goodbye, it just went. Summer didn't say goodbye, it was here and then it wasn't. And all those days at the lake and the late nights and the bikes and the radio and the yard. Summer didn't say goodbye, it just quietly moved on. A week later, it was raining like October, and the creek was too high from 2 days of it. And I thought about the flat rocks in the afternoon sun, and how that was just a month ago, just July. And I ran into Tommy near the corner store on Fifth, and we talked for a few minutes and said we'd get together. And we meant it the way you mean things in September, when summer is close enough to still feel real. And I thought about all the nights that felt like they'd keep going as long as we wanted. And I know now they had an end all along, I just couldn't see it from inside. Summer didn't say goodbye, it just went. Summer didn't say goodbye, it was here and then it wasn't. And all those days were as good as they seemed, every single one of them was real. Summer didn't say goodbye, it just quietly moved on. But I got all of it still, in whatever way. You keep the things that happen to you, the lake and the court and the radio in Kim's yard, and the night we stayed out till 1 in the parking lot. And the summer will come back, it always comes back, but it won't be the same one, and that's fine. That's just how it works, and I've always known that. And knowing it doesn't make it less. just went. Summer didn't say goodbye, and that's okay, that's how it always goes. And all those days were exactly what they were, simple and warm and easy in mind. Summer didn't say goodbye.